The Honourable Member for Bass is Green.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for Franklin for placing this motion on the agenda today, because neighbourhood houses are essential to our communities. Just last week I had the pleasure of visiting Dorset Neighbourhood House with my colleagues, Leader of the Opposition Josh Willey and Deputy Leader Janie Finlay. What we saw was inspiring, passionate staff and volunteers supporting their community, and I think they truly are the heart of Dorset. They didn't know that we were popping in that day, but they welcomed us so warmly, just like they would welcome anybody into the community through those doors. Naomi, Sue and Mark chatted with us about the services that they've been providing and facilitating, including Meals Loans, Playgroup distributing food packs from Loaves and Fishes, in addition to the fresh fruit and veggies that they grow in their magnificent community garden. They also have a seed lab, run outreach services in places like Pioneer and Gladstone, and facilitate community transport for non-urgent medical appointments and run Dorset Young Leaders. I also acknowledge the other neighbourhood houses in my electorate, including Starting Point Ravenswood, Beaconsfield House, Georgetown Neighbourhood House, the Northern Suburbs Community Centres in both Newnham and Mowbray. What I really love about neighbourhood houses is how responsive they are to community need. As no two communities are the same, neighbourhood houses take a place-based approach to make sure that they're listening and responding to the gaps that are in our communities. And this is a model that really works. For some, it means facilitating other service providers such as Women's Legal Service, Anglicare Financial Services or literacy support. And this is really valued in these communities where access is a challenge. Now, Honourable Deputy Speaker, let's be clear, Tasmanian neighbourhood houses, they aren't just a nice to have, they are essential, and they are increasingly dealing with more complex issues. They keep thousands of Tasmanians afloat every single week. They keep food on the table, they're a shoulder to lean on, and they help navigate through systems that are often stacked against people. They are a safe place for many because they are so accessible, and they're doing it off the smell of an oily rag. Families in our communities are struggling, people are struggling, and it's our neighbourhood houses that are stepping up time and time again to meet those needs. As Tasmania faces economic uncertainty, social pressures and demographic shifts, neighbourhood houses are more important now than ever. They don't replace government services or other community services. They complement them. They act as bridges connecting people with essential supports. They're trusted allies in places where government systems sometimes feel a bit distant, and their model actually builds resilience in our communities, and that's very important. They welcome thousands of people through their doors each week. They are supporting people who are too often left behind. They're trusted places where people of all ages can find connection, compassion and practical support. As noted in the motion today, these houses have become a real hub of community activity. They are a lifeline, providing that food relief, helping people navigate through systems, mental health services, housing supports, parenting challenges and so much more. It's very clear that demand has skyrocketed. Community contracts has increased by almost 150% since COVID, and that increase in demand has not been met with a matching increase in funding. In fact, houses have been stretched to their limits. During the election, Tasmanian Labor demonstrated our commitment to neighbourhood houses by committing to 5-year funding agreements with indexation and rolling the booster funding into core funding for neighbourhood houses. This was to provide more security, to achieve even greater outcomes for our communities and create a more stable workforce for these at-risk communities. We know that some neighbourhood houses are facing the frightening reality of running out of money, and I note particularly Deloraine House, which have already had to cut some of their hours. This is a situation, of course, that was made worse by the delayed budget because of the government's early election, when Premier Rockcliffe went begging to the Governor for an earlier election rather than stepping aside because of the budget mess. Houses receive core funding for just 2 full-time staff. Everything else is pieced together through short-term funding deeds, cost of living boosters, community connector funding, a patchwork that forces houses to waste precious time chasing money rather than delivering the services that they would like to be in our communities. This is not unlike so many other community organisations which are funded by the Tasmanian Government. I've sat on numerous community boards, and I can tell you how stressful it is when you don't know if you have funding in years 2 and 3 for a project. It means that you can't put the staff on that you need to. It means that you can't make decisions for the future. These organisations deserve better, and workers deserve better. The Tasmanian Labor Party value the community sector. We know the state would be worse off without them. The sector employs 28,000 people and support about 46,000 volunteers. Tasmanian Labor understands that the community services industry is central to building the resilience of Tasmanians and our communities to withstand various kinds of disruptions and crises. I recognise the valuable staff and volunteers who put in so much time, skill and dedication and love into what they do. The state would be far worse off without them. Neighbourhood houses need stability, so I'm so grateful to hear today that Minister Ogilvie has indicated support of this motion, and I again thank the member for Franklin for putting this on the agenda today. The government do need to honour the commitment of 5-year funding agreements, and I'd like to see more of the timeline that you mentioned today and the staging of that. And I know that in neighbourhood houses they would really welcome that information as well. I look forward to visiting more neighbourhood houses in my new role, and I also note this morning that the Treasurer mentioned compassion when talking about neighbourhood houses. I hope that, when talking about the service that Mr George referred to, I hope that compassion also extends to other community services organisations in Tasmania. Thank you.
Thank you. Further speakers?